Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I have a fun project using up orts. So O-R-T-S, or leftover threads by another name. I believe orts was a term that used to be used back, I think maybe in medieval times, a long way back, for scraps, and then came to be used for some reason for thread scraps in particular. And I keep all my thread scraps, whether it's threads that I get off tearing when I tear fabric and things that come off where I've done the tear, bits of thread that get sort of knotty, ratty bits that get on the end of things, even bits of wool, sometimes bits of fabrics get in here. So I keep them in a big jar, but I actually have more than I can use at the moment, for example, on my ort balls. So I had the idea of using them to create a fabric, but combining them with a base fabric, the orts, and then some lace over the top, and then applying a quilting type stitch to them to create almost an ort quilted, so using this almost like you might use the wadding, but having the colours from the beautiful threads shining through the lace. So let me give you an idea of what it is going to look like and what we're going to be doing together. And then I've got a second part of this video, which is because I want to use this ort base as part of my Roxy Journal of Stitchery, so it's going to be the tablecloth for the still life. I'll then show you how you can use fabric, and in this case I'm going to be using stripes and checks, because I think for this still life piece I think we'll get a prompt for a pot of flowers or a vase of flowers, and I want to do a really big floral piece on this, so I think having stripes in the background will be fantastic. So I'll really be showing you two techniques, or actually probably three techniques really. One technique will be how to create and use your orts and some lace and a little bit of Yoo-hoo glue and some thread and a needle to create a lovely quilted fabric. So we'll have a back on it, it will have that sort of quilting stitch, like a kantha stitch and running stitch, and then it's going to have the lovely consistency of having a wadding, but then look at all the beautiful colours that shine through the lace. So that will be one step in the process, and we'll do an extra area up here where we'll put the orts on, and then I'll be collaging some beautiful, these are Italian linen and cotton samples from the reverse art truck. I'll be collaging them in the background and talking about a few of the principles I apply when doing that, and then I'm planning to then cover that with this lovely lace piece. I think I'll have it, yeah, that way around. So this will sit a bit higher up. And so we'll get the lovely effect of the stripes and the lines underneath the lace piece. So you probably can't see all the way up, so we'll have to move a bit around just because of it being a big piece. But let's start first of all with our orts, and we'll come back to the other bit as the second part of the video. And then I'll show you how I stitch down that, but we probably won't get all of the stitching down on that. So for this section, all you need to do is get your orts, work out what area you want to apply them to. And so for me, I want to put in another stretch of this lace, and I want this lace just to slightly sort of overlap. So I want to really take my orts, and then I want to fold this edge under so it will look like a table that is that has an edge on it. So that's kind of the broad plan for how I want to have it. So I'm going to grab my friction marker. I just recently got some really interesting, I've never had this light blue friction marker, and I've not actually tried it yet. I just put it in my little supply jar. So we want to come to about there with our orts probably, I think. So I will apply my glue. Yoo-hoo glue, it is water soluble, it's acid free, suitable to use on fabric, doesn't make it stiff, doesn't make it sticky. So obviously makes it sticky at the point that you're applying it, but it's fine once it dries, and it dries pretty well. Now let's just make sure you can see, yes. And so then I just select out of my orts. You can decide if you want to go colour or more neutral. I think I really want nice colours sort of shining through. I don't even mind a few metallics like I've got. Bit of chintziness. And so you just the glue's just going to help to stick them down. So I've seen people where they use the water soluble, and in fact I've done it at the Fleur Woods, retreat, the first one, I went to use water-soluble like Solvi, I think it's called, and you put your threads on it and then you sew it with a sewing machine, and then you take the water off and you just get a lovely like thready sort of stitchy piece. But for here I was really wanting to take an idea and come up with this, yeah, this sort of quilted effect, which I've not seen anyone doing. So if anyone out there has done it, let me know. But often these crazy ideas come when I was just looking at my orts jar going, this is the year of using scraps. How else can I use them? And then I just thought, yeah, the lace. And then it kind of makes, because that would be quite full on to have as a background, particularly where I want to then do one of those blue and white vases for my flower. So I wanted it to sort of be a bit more toned down. That was the idea. So I'm just looking at my orts and just kind of pulling out what I want. Get a bit of that nice blue. Actually fun curating your orts. If I've got big bits like that are a more plain colour, I can throw those back into the pack, and if I've got weird, that's a bit of blanket or something, I don't need lumpiness in here necessarily, so I'll put those back in. But I don't mind a bit of wool. A bit of wool's fine. What other colours? Oh, there's a nice orange there. Let's get a bit of orange. What other colours? Oh, some nice pinky. Put a bit of that in there. And so because you're kind of creating that wadding, you just want a nice coverage with the colours that you're selecting out. Bit of that pinky wooliness. And so you can absolutely use your orts for stitching, but often I'm using the ones that might have got tangles in them, or they might have started to fray, or they might have got into, yeah, total tangle, and I just can't be bothered totally untangling them, and so they end up in the orts. But how lovely to have their colours really sort of, yeah, being a lovely base. And I just think, what fun down the track, you know how sometimes we take apart quilts to see what's inside them. What fun if someone takes this apart and finds down in years to come, when this might end up in an op shop of the future, who knows, someone might not be treasuring my artworks in the future. Then it would be fun for someone to discover what had gone in. So these are just like the threads that come off when you pull a fabric apart. So you can keep those in your orts if you're using your orts for this purpose. Obviously not if you're using your orts to stitch with. So I reckon that's pretty good. And so then we just need to work out which way up we want our lace to go. And what I probably can do is maybe just tuck it a bit under. So I might just try and, I think I will just go with the option of folding it over and then just make sure I push these ones down, and when I come to do that piece. But I probably won't stitch the final piece of it on, because I think I'll want to put my background underneath it. So that's just a thought, given I'm kind of doing two things at once for this. So we'll just fold it over, push that down a bit. We'll then use my little quilty clippy things, which I love. So yeah, let's just first of all get these clipped on where we want them. So I'm going to put a clip in there, and I'm going to put a clip. So I'm sort of just making sure that's lying nicely. Yeah, I reckon that's pretty good. Putting a clip in about there. Yes. And then, yeah, I reckon I can even leave a little bit of flexibility at the top, just for the fold to then cover the area. So as I say, I won't stitch right up to the very top. So at the moment I'll just clip it in place up there to keep it a bit out of the way, because then we'll overlap our fabrics under there. So I'll probably just, yeah, stitch up to here, and then I've still got the room to do the fold over. So I'm just using an old vintage crochet thread. Just picked one out in a similar colour to the lace, And all we're going to do is do kantha stitching. So I'm up to, so at this stage I've done my rows up to here. So I'll just pick up about an equal distance. And really with this, I'm not worrying at all about the trying to be straight. If you want to go straight, I shared a little tip in another video where you can put washi tape on, because that kind of gives you a nice thickness between the lines. And I'm using a nice big needle so I can do multiple stitches at once. And I'm actually going for the visible on the surface. I'm not doing like a long and short, not doing like a long stitch on the back and a short on the front, because I actually want to see the lines, and it all just, yeah, it all just comes together beautifully, I think. Now, just hoping, yes, I'm on camera. Camera is up the right way. So it's Friday night here when I'm filming this. Been a busy, things are starting to busy up at work now. It's a bit quieter over the Christmas period when I was working, but definitely starting to get a little bit busier, which is good. Don't mind busy. The days go by quickly, and then we're back to stitching. Now, where am I up to? Did I go a bit high? I think I did go up a bit there, but I'm not going to worry. We'll just regain our sort of positioning. And so you could use thinner pieces of lace. Not everyone might have a big sort of a wide piece like this, but you can also often get like lace type curtains, and you could definitely use that sort of fabric. It doesn't even have to be, yeah, it definitely doesn't have to be an expensive lace. This is just like an old vintage lace that I had, and I had quite a quantity of it wrapped around a card, so I thought, yep, that's perfect. But yeah, sometimes those lace curtains that you can find in op shops for no money at all, they would work great too. Or strips of different laces could definitely work. Will I redo? Yeah, I might just stitch down here and then get a bit more crochet thread to continue on. And what I've done at these ends is just done a few stitches up and down just to hold the threads that are at the ends into the piece, and I'll just do that now as well. Just stick the ends in, and I'll then just do a few extra stitches while I've got the thread here, just to kind of close the ends off a bit. And with these I do a longer stitch at the back and then just a little nibble sort of invisible stitch on the front, because it's just a stitch going in a different direction, and it really is just to hold these in. I can always trim off anything that's kind of not holding in when I'm done, if I can't sort of tuck it in myself. But I could with the needle get that one pretty much in. And so, yeah, that'll be right. And then we'll just put a knot in to hold those kantha stitches. And so this is just like a calico base. It was a calico that had a bit more stiffness to it, but would have just been some op shop calico anyway. That's where all my calico comes from. This one might still have had its sizing in, which is what they sort of put on the fabric when you buy it. And it can be good if you're painting onto it, apparently, so that your paints don't kind of run. Although I've found treating my fabrics with acrylics, an acrylic wash also has that effect also, thanks to Fleur Woods. Again, I've learned so much from the lovely Fleur Woods, textile artist. She is amazing and so generous with her tips. And her book is incredible. If you don't have Fleur Woods' book, yeah, highly recommend it. It's a joy. And a really great yeah, story and inspiration for following your creative passion. So I'm going to now start on where I've got the joining of the pieces. So I'll just sort of follow along. As I say, it doesn't really matter if you go a bit off course with your stitching. Doesn't matter if some are bigger and smaller, just as long as you're getting that lovely quilted effect and you're holding your sort of your orts mostly in place. But I was so surprised as I started this just how well it came together, and how the orts went from a sort of a jumbled sticky out sort of quality to beautiful, yeah, beautiful quilted lines of orts. and it feels beautiful. I wish again that you could feel. So often in these videos I would love for you to be able to feel the fabrics, to feel the textures, to feel it, but alas, we don't have smell-o-vision and we don't have feel-o-vision. You can probably hear the cicadas though, so you're getting a bit of a summer in Australia experience. The cicadas singing. I think it's just something I grew up with in the summer, so I kind of sometimes like tune it out. It was like I used to live near tram tracks, and so when I first moved into that house, I bought the house and moved into it. Yeah, I used to hear the trams all the time, and then yeah, I've noticed one time after I'd been there a number of months, I just wasn't hearing them, but they were still there. And sometimes I would listen to them as I was sort of falling asleep, particularly if I couldn't sleep or something, because I'd know what time it was because the trams would stop around midnight. So they were kind of a bit of a time sense without looking at the clock. So yeah, I can probably just tuck the end over here, seeing I've got an extra bit of edge. I can always put more stitches in later if I need to. Let's do it. I do it this way. It's always hard to know what way is going to be best for the camera and for me. But let's go this way, and I might just put my little clippy-doo. Put my clippy-doo up here. All right. Right, said Fred. Am I on camera? Yes, I think I am. For some reason that feels strange. It felt better the other way, but don't know. Maybe I just needed to get into the row, but I'll go this way now. I think because I've got 2 layers of lace, but no, it's fine. Sometimes you might just hit a thread or something that's harder to push your needle through. Am I staying somewhat straight? Don't know. Might be verging down a bit, I think, but that's okay. You can probably see better if I'm going straight or not, but even if I don't, it will show you that it doesn't really matter. It's just about getting your stitches in. And you can always, with this sort of kantha style stitching, you can always come down and do rows like that direction as well. I think part of the problem is that I've got that end up a bit higher, but does it really matter? Does it really matter? I don't think it really does, actually. How will it look when it's like that? It is going to be a bit bunchy, actually, so we might just need to, redo those stitches. I'll just make sure I stitch over. If I get that, I can then insert my little taily bit into the actual fabric. Put it down into my orts, I think, down into here. When I say it doesn't really matter if you go, but in that case it would have been, the lace would have been totally sort of bodgy in terms of its direction. So I just want the lace to broadly sit across at the same level. So I'll just clip it back here, I think. Oh, that's probably a tiny bit too low. How does that look? Is that about right? About there, I think. And will that give me about the right effect up the top? Yeah, I think so. I think that will be better. Better. Okay. So we'll just need to kind of go back and do that bit of stitching that I undid a moment ago. We'll go back and go over that. Yep, the row down here is missing, I think. Oops, and I probably need to tuck a bit of this in as well. Get this thread in. Let's just do a stitch or 2 here to just enclose these pieces. Let's do that, and then where is the row that I missed out? I think it's down here. Oops. Almost stabbed my finger, but thankfully it's not a super stubby needle. Then I'll just do a few overlapping where those other stitches were, just so I doubt the thread will work its way out anyway, and I can always, as I say, come back in with other stitching, but I'll just do a bit just to be sure Oops, except our needle had unthreaded itself. So there we go. And depending how we go for time, it might end up being a sort of a two-parter. I'd probably be coming back to show you the background anyway, but maybe I show you that when I'm working on the flower vase. I'm sure we're going to get a flower pot or flower vase prompt for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. But again, this would be a lovely piece to do for like a pouch or something, or even just to make some of this up and then cut sections of it to use in your projects. You might just have to, if you do that, just sort of finish off the edges so that the stitches that you've done don't come undone if you're cutting any of them. So I think I've covered enough of the stitches that I had done, doubled them up, that I can just tie off on the back. So just passing it back through and doing a knot, cutting it off, and I can put that in my orts. There we go. Using some orts and adding to our orts at the same time. Let's get a bit more thread and we'll keep going. I think it is hard when you're not, when you've got the camera in the way, it's kind of harder to get that perspective on things. And you can have your pieces of fabric go a bit off course, like happened there. But I'm much happier that I fixed the lace up, because that wouldn't have, not worried about my stitches, but worried if the lace is totally wonky, because it wasn't then going to lay flat. Okay, and then we'll just go across here. So as you can see, not worrying at all about the length of the stitches, just taking the needle through approximately at the same. There's my other row there. Yep, I'm on camera. Yeah, it's really rewarding feeling it all sort of become cohesive as you run these stitches through. It really is. I like how that looks like a little sort of extra lacy band on the tablecloth, because essentially that's what this will become in the still life that I'm doing. Bunch up a bit to pull that up easy. So yeah, a long needle. This is like one that's meant for, I don't know, like for sail making or something like that. It comes in the general packs of needles that you can just like find at general sort of not proper sort of haberdashery or sewing stores. Often they're just like in the supermarket if you're buying a set of multi-purpose needles for household, like household needles. And I often quite like using them in my stitching, in addition to obviously the more obvious sort of sewing needles like chenille needles, which are good for wools and for silk ribbon. beading needles or milliner's needles, the very fine ones for fitting through beads. But yeah, something nice and long, something javelin-like, as my friend Linda would call it. That is definitely useful for this. Again, I can come back afterwards and take care of all the endy sort of bits, just so that I don't bore you with that, because I've shown you the sort of the concept for that. What I'll do up here is just tuck that bit out, I think. And then let's just, actually I can probably tuck this end under a smidge. Will I be able to get to the end of the row with this piece of cotton? Let's see. Probably need to come back. If you do a slightly long stitch, you can always just do a stitch backwards and you'll get the same effect. This sort of kantha stitching is really very forgiving. Oops, I've got a thread popping. Oh no, it's just popped out. That's okay. I thought it was coming through from the back. It's sort of still attached, in which case we could have poked it through or trimmed it off carefully. Just loving the way this is looking. It's exciting when you have an idea and you do it and you're like, oh, yeah, that works. So yeah, sometimes it's good just to sit at your craft desk, have a look around at what you've got in front of you, have a think about what you've got that you haven't been using. Because I also hadn't really been using these wider bits of lace in my stitching. So it's always rewarding to be able to do that. To use things you haven't been using. Okay, so where are we up to and what's our plan here? We were just going to probably do one more row, I think, just so that we can then do the tucking under. In fact, I need to tie my end off here, so one more row with some new thread. And then we'll do our, I'll obviously show you what this looks like, and then we'll do our collaging up the top, and I'll show you the overlaying of lace, and we'll do a little bit of stitching, I think, on that. Hopefully we have time for that. But yeah, I think that's going to work really well. So we'll just do, in fact, I probably don't even need to do the other rows with you. How are we going for time? Well, yeah, and I'll do one more row. Do one more row so we get kind of the most of the effect. Could almost do two, but we'll see. Oops, where's my end gone? It's gone on entirely the wrong bit on the thread. Why was it wonky? Go. I think that's a bit better. Semi-decent knot. And so we'll just start over. Where are we here? I'm catching on that clip. Oops. So again, just following along the broad direction where you want to be. I'm always kind of just looking at the lower lining of stitching and just broadly staying a distance apart. Sometimes you can kind of lose where the stitches are, which is why they do blend into the background. I love some of these nice bright colours up here, they're lovely. We got some good colours out of the orts. Oops, Where's my end? There's my end. Let's just give it a pull. We don't want it quite that gathered, but it does give you ideas. You could even sort of gather this in a bit, give it some extra texture. Let me know what you might use your ort quilt for. Okay, so I think we'll leave this area up here. It probably will still be a few more rows once I've laid down my background, but I think that's given you enough of an idea, one, of how to do it, and two, what it might look like, depending obviously on what materials and supplies you use. So I'll tie that off, put that out of the way, and I'll just stand up so I can give you a proper look. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful colours, lovely, very cohesive now. That's the stitching on the back. And yeah, it just takes on I just really wish you could feel this beautiful undulating but solid. It really does feel like a quilt, and a beautiful quilt at that. And then you've got the beautiful, beautiful colours. So next step is I want to make a background that is almost like a wallpaper, and normally I'd use a mix of both stripes and florals, but I'm wanting ultimately, I think, to use a piece, a beautiful sort of like bouquet like this one, which way up does it go? That way? No, that way. I did have it the right way, I think. I think it's that way. Or is it this way? Maybe it's that way. I'll have to work out which way it goes when I actually use it, but to make a vase down here and then have this beautiful, sort of florals, and then stitch into that, and lots of sort of like fleur woody style stitching, I think. And so I want to make it quite neutral using these beautiful Italian cotton samples. And so I think I will probably just start putting them down, because I'm then going to overlay my lovely bit of lace over the top. So I'll just try and get my pieces going. In fact, I can probably, because I've got plenty of these, so it doesn't matter if they do overlap a bit. And again, I'm just going to use my trusty Yoo-hoo to hold them in place while we get collaging. Now, can you see up the top? No, you can't, so I need to bring you down a bit. So I'm going to, in terms of the theory, I'm going to start with some larger pieces out of my stash. I'll put my stash here so you can, I know that won't really work, because you, where can I put it that you can see it? Maybe a little bit over here, right. And I'm going to try and sort of put things in different directions, and then put some of my smaller samples over some of the joins. And I don't want to have anything kind of, meeting up. So for example here, I'll offset it, and then I can put a stripe that goes a different direction. That one's just a little bit ratty-tatty, so I might just, this one I think might have something other than cotton mixed into it. It's almost got a little bit of sheen, but it is one of the Italian samples, which I've got lots of, and I'm sure they periodically come into the reverse art truck. I think for a while I was very keen on them, so I was picking them up, and I'd kind of cleared the racks of them when I was really starting to build up my fabric sample collection. So again, offsetting it so the edges sort of don't line up, not to create a sort of a grid effect. And then we'll come in with the smallest later. It's good to use different sizes of, probably won't use all of this one because it's a beautiful fabric, and it'd be nice to have a bit of it to use for something else. It's I think this one is a linen as well as a cotton, or possibly pure linen. So those are down, yeah, I think that will be fine, that direction. And the good thing with the Yoo-hoo, if I really hated anything that I laid down, it's very easy to just pull up and, and then put something else in its place. Problem with using a Yoo-hoo is you do end up with sticky fingers, and oh no, I've got my little finger rag. I just need to wet it down with some of my spritzy water. Everything's sticking to my fingers. Yes, it is. but that's okay. And then so straights across the crosses, so I'd want to have something coming down here, maybe this a bit of red as well. Yeah. But again, I might offset it so it's not meeting up with the other piece, and then we can have something interesting up there, like we could have this one. So that's going to be long, but it's kind of like, yeah, you've got to pick one direction, so you can't always have not going in the same direction as either of the adjacent pieces. Because we've got two going this way, and now we'll have two going this way. Although actually, maybe I want that somewhere different. Is it? No, probably okay like that. Although it's going to kind of match this piece here, so maybe I will actually use that on something else. We'll have a little looky for something else we'd like to use here. Maybe I would want to, yeah, let's take a bit of this. And put it a bit over that way, or a bit over, yeah, no, I think a bit over that way would be best, because then it's not sort of not lining up there. And we're going for time 36, that's okay. For a minute I thought it was 56 minutes, but no, we're all right. A little bit down, and then what else? This one's quite a nice similar check to that, but I think we could put that down here, and maybe across like that. Got stuff stuck to my glue. Bound to happen, really, when you're playing with orts and fabrics and fabric collage. There's lots going on, micro fabric collaging that I'm doing. It's all happening in the room. I think that's mostly straight, and then we might use our nice little, how would this one look in there? Or would we want to use it that way? Or do we use it a bit later? Maybe a bit later, again. Now I've got some of these sort of orangey colours. No, I'm not feeling the vibe on that one. I've got that little square. Maybe I'll use that. Which direction? Because again, it's kind of got, yeah, I won't be able to go totally. I mean, I can always add one, but no, I think I'll stick with ups and downs. I think I'll go that direction. Oops, falling over. Okay, and then what else? Got one of these. That's sort of a greeny colour though, so I'm wondering if maybe I use part of this perhaps. Don't know how well this one tears. No, that one's not going to want to tear. So what else have I got? Oh, I've got another checky sort of one. That could be nice, kind of, yeah. That brings a bit of a bolder colour in. Thought it had cooled down beautifully outside. I was hanging out a load of vintage linens that I had washed, but no, it's feeling, and I then opened up the window thinking, oh, I'd get all the nice cool air in and wouldn't need to have the air conditioner on while I was filming, but it's feeling quite muggy again now. We are going to be having a very hot day tomorrow. Don't think I want to use these more sort of intricately patterned ones, but maybe a nice pinky check would be good. Can you see over there? Yes. So I could just sort of have that up there. Kind of has some nice links to the others. I haven't been really worrying about what the front and back of these, because I think the weave goes through them pretty good. That's another little one I like. That's another nice little one. What else have I got in here that I'd like to use? Could definitely use some of these down here. It's just a very simple white and grey or white and blue, hard to tell what colour the stripes are. Oops, come on, I'll try and take the yuckiness off the random bits off the back. Not that we'll be able to really see them. Okay, so here's where I'll bring it down to sort of as close to the orts as possible, so that the background does kind of come down to level, and then we'll be able to just put our tablecloth sort of, across like that. And in fact we'll have our other lace coming down too, so it's not too much of a worry. Might go for a piece of this. Don't know how this tears. Let's just see how that goes. Yeah, that was fine at that end. So we'll do another piece. Which way was I going to have that? Or do I put it over here? Maybe I'll have that there. And then I can have a smaller piece in there. Yep, that will do. Let's just take the fringy edges off, put them with our orts, or leave them stuck to my finger as they're going to want to do. Take those bits off. And you can, this is just how easily the glue actually lifts up. If I want to put this one under there, it will absolutely go under, which is great. And for example, I think that one might be nice to have over there. So yeah, you can just play around with what you have layering where. What have we got here? Do I want that one? Do I want maybe that piece there? It's a nice blue. Maybe that one there. So good to be featuring some of these lovely samples that have travelled the world to get to Melbourne. And who knows, they've maybe been selected to be used in something, or maybe they've just been looked at and gone dismissed and then sent off to the reverse art truck. But these are definitely being saved from landfill, because if I wasn't buying these and using these, or if someone wasn't, then they would definitely end up in landfill. Now I'm just wondering, what have I got that's going to be a bit contrasty to that, what I've already got here. I almost think maybe a check of some description, maybe a more, would that be too much? I think that's going to be a bit full on. That even hurt my eyes just looking at that. This one's actually not from the reverse art truck, it's just from my little fabric samples, but that could be kind of nice. Or maybe that goes up there, and then maybe we put something like a nice little stripe of like pink. Yeah, let's do that. Something totally different. Although we've got some sort of pinky reds there. Oh yeah, and I've got these little fabric samples as well, haven't I? A bit of purple. And some of them have a bit of stickiness on them because they've been stuck to cards, but that works perfectly here because it will give us some bonus stickiness. Or do I use this down here? Nope. I think I'll... What do we think? That one? Or do we use one of these other ones that I quite liked? No, that's going to be two the same. So maybe we do use that one. Is that one a bit offset? Yeah, I like that actually. I like it. Hoping you can see. I think you can. Get rid of the tail. Pop that one on like that. Do I want? Yeah, I think I want my pinky to go over the top. Over the top with pinky. Okay, so let me show you that hopefully from the top to the bottom. I'll just bring you up a smidge and I'll stand up, and then that way I can see what you can see. Let's put the lid on our glue stick, unless we want to do any other little small patchy pieces to kind of echo anything around. But I'm actually kind of happy with that, and I'm interested to see how it will look with the lace on it. Now, which way up was I planning to have my lace? And is it that way? That way? Oops, let's try not to knock our glue over. I'll actually put the lid on. The glue would be the sensible thing to do, Christine, and put it back in the glue container. Was it going to go this way? I think so. Yeah. I think that was the plan. And so how do we feel about the background? I think I'm really happy with that, because then, I mean, it's a bit hard. Can't put the whole, let's just take a wedge of my floral piece just to see how that would look in a vase if that was against that background. I think it's nice because you do get that little bit of pink. I do wonder, maybe I do need to put a tiny bit of pinky readiness up in the corners, because probably the red and pink here will be obscured. So let's do that. Is that the same? That's the same as that one. So maybe we'll use this one. And I'll put a bit of that over here. And then that purpley one, maybe. Although the flowers don't have that much purple in them. But maybe I can use one of these other little pinky ones, yes. Because it would be good actually to break up this one up here a bit more. I think that's a bit of fun. Almost feel like this one down here. I think I want this one over the top, yes. Yes, I did. And do we want any other little sections of breaking up the design? Maybe one there, I think. I think it does just add if you have those different size pieces, but always good to start with your bigger pieces first and then come in with your smallers. Otherwise you can kind of get a bit out of whack. Maybe just a few of these smaller little ones. Where might I want a bit of this? I mean, it's probably going to end up being covered, but we don't know yet. It's all going to emerge, so yeah, I think that's starting to please my eye. I'm just going to have another little rustle over here and just see. They've got this one as well, which I can't, but is that, no, that's not that one and not that one. So I'm wondering, maybe even down here. No, because that looks too much like that. Would I want something? Nope, not there. No, I don't think I need that one. It didn't want to come onto the piece. I think that's probably fine actually. I'm happy with that. Again, I will cover up my glue. And again, we're going to have to work out which is the front and which is the back and which direction and how do we want it to look. And so I think I wanted it actually the other way around tonight. I think. I'm really struggling to, no, this is the raised side, so I think this is the correct side. So what I want to do now is use some more little quilt clips, and I'll try not to lean over totally and be all in your face. So I'll tuck it. You probably can't see down on it. You can just see down here because I'm nice and wide up. I'll just clip it here, and then I'll use the line that sort of runs up here, and I can kind of do it as a bit of a guide on the back too to get it somewhat straight. And then I will cut it off on this side. So I'm comfortable, I think I'm comfortable with how that's looking. 1, 2, 3. It's not exactly spaced totally even, but I never try and kind of make it totally even either. So I think that is good. So I'll just kind of lay it out flat, and then I'll clip it on both ends. I probably will end up putting a few little of those applique pins in, as K3N would say. Sorry, and I've got things sticking to my fingers from the glue. But no, I love the background. We're allowed to say that about our own work, aren't we? I think we can be pleased when something works out, because I think we're all pretty hypercritical sometimes, so it's nice to give ourselves a bit of a pat on the back. Now, my camera did something funny last night as I was talking to you as I was finishing up the piece, and so I've actually been in the car today and I've been doing the kantha stitching into the back of the piece, and I thought I'd just come back on and we can do a row or two of kantha stitching together, and you can see what it looks like when this is all kantha stitched down, as well as the bottom section, which has now been fully kantha stitched down as well. So I'm really happy with how it's all coming together. As you can see, I'm still quite a bodgy, even when I'm kind of following lines on the fabric. I still end up being slightly bodgy with my stitching. But that doesn't matter for this, because it really all just is helping to anchor it down. So I might bring you down a little bit, just so I can see you as well. And see what you're seeing. And we'll just do a row or two of kantha stitching. Now I've done a really bodgy knot at the end of that, so we'll just do another knot to kick ourselves off. And so where do I need? So I probably need some more kantha stitching in some of these rows, so we might do the ones over here. So I'll just pop through down here. So yeah, we took a trip down to Umverloch on the coast today with Travis and had a lovely day paddling around there and a picnic lunch, and then came home after that, and I have been busy sorting out my wardrobe and putting away clothes, but also picking out a whole lot of clothes to donate to the op shop, and making sure my winter clothes are away, because it's well and truly summer here, but I still had a mix of winter, and I actually hadn't even got out all my summer clothes. I'd forgotten about some of the summer clothes that I had in a box. So I do like to kind of move the wardrobe through, just so that I have things. I mean, I don't kind of then get overwhelmed with what I have, but it's also a really great time to reevaluate what you really do need to keep in your wardrobe. There are a few things I picked out that I can dismantle into fabric as well, but then some things that were still very good quality and not really suitable for sort of stitching, that can go to the op shop and be resold as clothing, hopefully, and be given a new life. So I'm just following, in this case, like the lines and whatever's there for me to follow. So there's some sections where it doesn't really have anything particular to follow, but it does definitely help having the checks and the lines. And because I laid them down relatively straight, they provide a pretty good guide. But I can still sometimes go off course. Probably also when you're doing it in the car, it's a little bit harder, but it wasn't actually as hard as I thought, because I'd put some stitching in last night, so I'd had enough to kind of hold it, and it wasn't moving around too much. I actually did a row each side, a row down the middle, and put some middle rows in last night. So then I was really just coming in and adding additional rows. So yeah, we had a lovely time at the beach. Travis absolutely adores it. We call it Doggy Disneyland. So if I can, I don't think I took much footage, but if I've got some footage to share, I'll add a tiny bit at the end, or maybe just a photo or two. I think Alex actually popped something on Facebook of Travis jumping through the water, so I might even see if I can put that video at the end. By the end, Travis gets so tired that we get in the car and he's virtually out to it, lays down on the back seat and sleeps all the way home. He does. And I had a very brief little pop into the Inverloch Salvo's op shop. I only found, I think I must have cleaned them out of the embroidered linens the last time I was there. So I only found a very sweet little apron. But I can't really complain because I got an amazing bundle of goodies yesterday off Facebook Marketplace, an entire deceased estate of sort of table linens and assorteds, which I've brought in from the line. And I think tonight I will be busy ironing and working out what the purpose of each is, including putting some in a special box to be part of my special collaboration planned for this year, where I will be sending out little packages to folks for special little projects featuring a special particular item. And if you've been watching for a while, you might be able to guess, but if you haven't been, stay tuned. It's going to be a little thank you back to the community, but also a special little commemoration of my special Nana, who I hold so dear in my thoughts. But more about that. I need to sort of put the final touches on the sort of organisation side of that to make sure I am all ready to roll. And I do know that there's a lot kind of starting at the moment. Like I'm doing various projects, so I just don't want to kind of overwhelm folks. I'll let you get stuck into the year a little bit, and then we can kick off. And Alex just reminded me that it won't be, I think, 5 weeks until we'll be, or maybe 6 weeks until we'll be going to the Southern Highlands in New South Wales, because I've got another Fleur Woods 5-day retreat as an absolute treat. So that's just the row. As you can see, I started off and then kind of merged across. So there you go. That's how bodgy I can go. But it doesn't, as you can see on the surface, you can't see any of that bodginess. So that's probably enough of watching me be bodgy. I'll continue to do those last few rows of stitching, and then this piece is really going to be ready for when we actually get a prompt. Because I'll continue working on my collage piece, because that can kind of spread across really the whole project period, because it does have background, but it also has foreground and things on the table. But this is this one, so let me just stand up so I can see what you can see. I'll give it an iron, but yeah, the stitching down just starts to give it a really lovely cohesiveness, but also it really gives it a bit of lovely texture as well, just a little bit of that sort of quiltedness. But having the lace over the fabrics, I just think it works incredibly well. I think this could end up being a background that I use on some of my other pieces as well, and I just love that I'm now honouring these fabric samples from the reverse art truck. The other thing I'll probably do is finish just sort of tucking the orts in and folding this under. I'll leave this edge, I think, lacy like the edge of a tablecloth. Really happy with that. Happy with the orts section, and happy with how the upper section is looking. So there's just a slow slide for you. So thanks so much for watching, and apologies for that little sort of cut off last night, but yeah, at least I've been able to come back and show you the near finished product. So thanks and take care. Bye.